Welcome everyone, Sports Journey with myself, Lake Lewis, right here on the Sports Journey Broadcast Network. And I felt good earlier today coming in to the studio here in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. And it was one of those days where I don't know what it was. I just had a good feeling over my head. And guess what? It got even better because word has come out that my school, yes, the school that I attended undergrad, Pennsylvania State University in State College, Pennsylvania, that the NCAA has somehow found it within themselves that they want to go ahead and reduce some of the sanctions. Now, when I first heard this, I was thinking to myself, okay, are they allowing for the team to participate in bowl games? Are they going to, reduce some of the fines and things of that nature? No, they're not doing that. But I do think the NCAA Executive Committee today took a great step forward. And for me, I've been very critical of the NCAA, and I'm still going to be very critical of the NCAA for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is my school. I do think that they've overstepped their boundaries as far as a federal or criminal case, in my opinion. I think the people that were involved in this, whoever you may think is involved in this, the people who were the perpetrators and were considered the perpetrators have either been deceased, or they're either waiting trial now, or they're serving time in jail for the rest of their life. And I've said this before, as an adult and as a father, I don't think that punishing Penn State University is the answer in this whole horrific scene. I think that what happened was clearly a travesty of justice for the people who had this thing happen to them. And I'm talking about as far as linking football up to this. That was the travesty in the first place. What happened was a sad story. What happened was a pedophile had his way and fooled a lot of people, in my opinion. Do I have facts of that? No. But I also don't have the facts that some people knew exactly what was going on, too. I just think that the situation was clearly mishandled. And I think that the NCAA Executive Committee, by gradually restoring football scholarships to Penn State, I think that they're starting to make inroads here. I think they're starting to get back into the right place. I've been upset about this for a long time, and anyone that knows me and knows my loyalty and allegiance to Penn State knows that I feel very strongly about my school. I feel very strongly that I can sit here right now and talk to you, that you can watch me, and that's based on what I learned as a communications and broadcast journalism major at Penn State. I go back to that. I learned how to be a man at Penn State. I learned how to play basketball at Penn State. And I say that with the utmost sincerity. And I also say that with humility as well, because what happened at Penn State, it was horrible. I feel for the victims in all of this. But I also think that some of us have lost sight. And I think that some of us have lost the sight that there are even more victims than the unfortunate victims that started the whole story. Clearly, they're the main victims. But there are also, 40-something thousand undergraduate students at that campus that are victims. There are also, hundreds of thousands of alums. And we're victims because at the end of the day, what happened, and I say this again, just use your head. What happened had no bearing on wins and losses for the football program. And that's what the NCAA is about. The NCAA is about making sure the programs do not have a fair or an unfair advantage. They want to make sure that illegal recruiting's not going on. They want to make sure that guys aren't being given grades so that they can play. They want to make sure that there's nothing that's going on that's going to give a specific program an advantage over the next program. And the last time I looked, and I keep saying this to people, anyone that wants to have an adult conversation about it without having a closed mind about it, I've said this. If it's about Joe Paterno's wins and losses, I don't care. And I'm one of the Penn State alum that does feel that way. That it's not about the statue being taken down. It's not about the wins and losses. We don't care about that. But when you start using that word athletic integrity, I don't see how the two can go hand in hand. If you're looking at it from an athletic integrity standpoint, then the school should have these sanctions on it. But if you're going to sit here and say that the school is well known for graduating athletes, that the school is well known for putting out quality people, individuals, and I'd like to think I'm both, then I say there was no athletic integrity problem. When people talk about that there was a football, culture of football worshiping there, what major college doesn't have that culture? And when I say that culture, I mean where they know that that's their bread and butter. There are kids that go to these schools that fill out applications just because of what they know they're going to get on Saturdays. You don't think the University of Alabama, you don't think that USC, you don't think that Texas, you don't think that Michigan, Ohio State, you don't think that Florida State, Florida, you don't think these schools know what their bread and butter is? There are some professors at these schools that are able to really do some great things for society from government grants, but also from the athletic money that is brought in. So you don't think these schools know what their bread and butter are? Of course Penn State knows football is bread and butter. When I was there playing basketball, I knew the football was kingpin. No one overstood that. No one overstepped that. But no one ran from it either. It wasn't like it was shoveled down your throat where the guys couldn't do any wrong. So for me, today is a good day. It's a good day for me personally, and I'm going to make some really good announcements coming up about some great things we're doing here at Sports Journey. Had to put that plug in there. But it's also a good day for me for my school. I told people for years that the NCAA had no bearing on what they did. Obviously, there was a public outcry for something to be done, and unfortunately, in our society, we have a lynch mob society where if people don't like the way something's done, everyone jumps on board and piles on. And the NCAA, I thought, wilted under pressure. But had they done their due diligence and looked at the situation at hand, they would have understood that, in my opinion, this was a criminal case. Nothing to do with a university. Nothing to tell kids who play football for Penn State University today, who were probably in elementary school, or if not diapers, when a lot of this stuff was unfortunately going on. Why should they be penalized for this? And I've said this for a long time. If I go on and do some horrific things in my life, I would hate to think that my daughter is guilty by association. If that's the society that we're breeding right now, then we're in trouble. We're in big time trouble when a person can't stand on their own merits or lack thereof. And I think today, again, by allowing Penn State's players to be able to play with scholarships, I think that that's just because you're helping young people out. You have to understand, and this isn't just about my school here. This is about a lot of schools around the country. There are kids that want to go to universities because their parents, because their grandparents went to those schools. There are kids that want to go to certain schools because they grew up in those college towns, and that's a way of life to them. That's all they know. So to reduce scholarships, to me, I thought was taking away the dreams of some kids who've bust their tails athletically, academically, to be able to be in a position to play at a Penn State. I understand if guys were given money to come play. I understand if guys were driving cars around campus and doing all kinds of nonsense that we hear going on today. But the last time I looked, the NCAA right now has no legs to stand on as far as passing judgment on anyone. You're in a situation right now where the state of the NCAA is not, it's not good. I mean, you're talking about student athletes now, protesting. They did it this past weekend wearing bands. They're letting the world know that, listen, there's a lot of money being generated off the backs of 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. A lot of money. Billions. And they're not getting any. And I just had this conversation with a friend yesterday. And he said, come on, Lake, you can't tell me guys need to get paid. I think, again, some people in the media who've never had a ball in their hand don't understand what the term paid is. College athletes are not asking to have game checks like if they're professional athletes. Obviously, amateurism states that you pursue a sport that is not paid, where you do not receive payment. That is the rule of amateurism. That's the definition. Look it up. That's not under debate here. What people are saying is You get a stipend if you are a student athlete. I don't think most of society knows these things. And unfortunately, in our business and the media, some who've never done it don't understand it either. And they put out false information. What's being said is that if you can get a stipend of $25, basically what that means is when you have game days, okay? Last time I looked, college football is 12. I mean, are you kidding me? You do the math. 12 times 25. That's not a lot of money. And basically what it is you get $25 to eat that day. Most kids don't eat. They bring their own food, or they've stuffed their faces somehow, some way, so that they have a little bit of pocket change, so when they get back to campus and they want to go out, they can be able to get a soda, a hamburger. And yeah, you may think, okay, well, cry me a river when these guys' scholarships are paid, their education is being paid for. So what? That's not what this is about. This is about what's being fair. That's the issue at hand. People want to be able to have bigger stipends. If the stipend is $100, $200, maybe $100 a week, I think kids can survive off that. If you tell me a kid who's getting a $400 stipend a month can't survive off that, then that's their immaturity and that's them not being responsible. But don't tell me that the NCAA has this moral and high moral compass about them, that they're going to throw out that term at Penn State specifically as far as athletic integrity. Explain to me what is athletic integrity, because the last time I looked, I thought the school had it. The NCAA used to prop up Joe Paterno. They used to sit him up there and say, this is what's right in sports, and every time you looked, games that probably Penn State wasn't even worthy to be on, they were on every year. And they were on because this man was an old man and he had been around forever. So don't act like it was just the school that pushed him out there and paraded him around. It was the NCAA's fault. That's why today, again, so what's going to happen here, folks, is beginning in 2014-15, 5 additional scholarships will be restored to the football team. Then, the year after that, they'll go back up. So the restoration of scholarships, it's been laid out. So that way the football team will go back to 75 in 2014-15, 80 in 2015-16, and beginning in 2016-2017 academic year, they'll go back to the normal competing 85 scholarship student athlete limit. That's fair. I still think it should be quickly resolved, but that's just me. I'm not going to be greedy today. I'm going to take this in stride. I do feel a little bit of justification, because of the fact that the NCAA is admitting that they've done something wrong. They're not going to say that. They're going to come out and let George Mitchell, former U.S. Senator, who basically is the guy that's overseeing everything as far as this athletic integrity that has to go on at Penn State. He comes out and says, providing relief from the scholarship restrictions will give more student athletes an opportunity to attend Penn State on athletic scholarships, while also creating an incentive for the university to continue its progress under new leadership after President Erickson's impending departure. I just, again, I'm trying not to be negative here, folks, but we're talking about grown people, adults, who've come to this rationalization of what needs to be done for a school that is known for graduating student athletes. I just, for the life of me, have said for the longest time, it's not about my allegiance to the school. It's about me having common sense and being educated. And when you have both those things, you'll realize that somewhere along the lines here, the ball was dropped. The perpetrators are either in jail, they're either being judged by a higher being, if you believe in that, which I do, or they're awaiting trial. There's new leadership at the school. What more do you want? There's a new coach there after 50 years. What more do you want? And before the previous coach, who I just mentioned was there for 50 plus years, passed away, he was fired. So if he had this kind of unwilling power there, he would have passed on his own terms. He was fired and shamed. So I don't know what more people can want. So anyway, I had to talk about this today, folks. So hopefully it was insightful. Hopefully it came across as an educated opinion. That's all it is at the end of the day with us here in media. It's our opinion. And there are some things that are facts. There are no facts about this whole case. No matter how you look at it, no matter what side of the fence you stand on, there are really no harsh, hard facts. The Free report, flawed in a lot of ways. It was correct in a lot of ways as well. But there are no hard facts. So you have to base your opinion on either the media coverage, I'm part of that, or you have to just use your own common sense. Regardless of what happens going forward, today the NCAA took the right step going forward.
Let me tell you some of the reasons people get into trouble with credit cards. A job loss or salary cut, an unexpected expense, a divorce, a business loss, or even helping a family member or friend in need. At Consolidated Credit, we understand that debt problems are not about overspending. It's about emergencies and unexpected situations. Consolidated Credit has helped over 5 million people, just like you. The options for getting out of debt have never been better. We can reduce your interest rates, cut your monthly payments, and help you get out of debt fast. The time to call Consolidated Credit is now. There are a lot of ways to get into trouble with debt. There's only one trusted way to get out: Consolidated Credit. When debt is the problem, we're the solution.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-6016. That's 1-800-426-6016. Call now.
If you're disabled and unable to work, pay attention to the following message.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be entitled to disability benefits through Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right if you suffer from a physical or mental disability. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. You'll be matched up with an advocate who will evaluate your situation, handle your application, deal with Social Security for you, and handle all appeals. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. To get started, call the number on your screen now. And keep in mind, there are a vast number of conditions that make you eligible for disability benefits and dozens of additions that you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call the Citizens Disability Helpline today for a free, no-obligation consultation.
Call 1-800-735-0219. Call now.
Health Insurance Update. This just in for all uninsured Americans with or without pre-existing conditions. The recent health care bill will not take effect until at least 2014, leaving families and individuals lacking health insurance with no immediate solution to their concerns. Meanwhile, medical problems continue to be the #1 cause of bankruptcies. Here's the good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide affordable health insurance for all uninsured Americans, and yes, uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Call the number on your screen now, and in less than 10 minutes, you could receive a choice of affordable plans from the Hotline Network. This is not a discount card. You will have access to doctors, hospitals, dental care, infant care, and emergency services. Call the Health Insurance Hotline now and get you and your family covered today.
Call 800-794-1817. That's 800-794-1817. Call now.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
That's a good pour. frosty glass, perfect amount of foam.
Thanks, Coach.
How's your Bloody Mary?
Spicy.
Wings?
Always fresh, never frozen.
All right. Who's the primary on Spider 2Z Snag?
It's the fullback out of the backfield. If he gets jammed, I'm hitting the flanker on a curl route.
You're good.
I know.
Huddle up at Hooters. Why would you go anywhere else, man?